Good morning, guys. It is September 28th, 2022. In this video here, I want to talk about a thing that I really think that could be helpful for some people. Now, that is blow dryers. Now, there's a common misconception that, oh, that's only something that girls use. Oh, that's only something for the women with long hair or whatever. That's not true. That is far from true. If you look back to like the 70s and 80s, there were plenty of men that used them back in those days too. So, men have used them for quite a long time. They are a very useful tool, not just for drying your hair, but for tons of other tasks as well, which I will talk about. Now, I have two, believe it or not. Now, why do I have two? Well, one of them is a good one, and the other one is just something I got, when I was traveling to fit easier in my bag and not have to worry about if something happened to it. So I'm going to show you a couple things about the ones that I have and everything, but first I'm going to show you, using a brush to brush through your hair as you're drying, and including a round brush if you have like fringe areas that you like to, get some volume in, or you just like to smooth stuff out, being able to kind of wrap the hair around, even if you have shorter hair. These will do wonders. It doesn't have to be an expensive or a high-end brush. A brush is just a brush. That's just the way I see it. But I'm gonna go over two blow dryers that I have. Now, the first one, the lettering is worn off because it's all cheaply printed on there, but it's a Conair 1875 watt compact blow dryer. Very, very basic. Folds up, and you got just low, high, and off. And no nozzle, nothing like that. No temperature settings, just high, low, off. That's it. Now, there's a lot of people that say, oh, well, you have to have all these settings and you have to have all this stuff. Not necessarily. I bought this because I wanted... Now, if you are just starting out with a blow dryer, I would suggest starting with the cheaper ones like this, just to get used to it and see if you like it. Because it doesn't make sense to go big and get fancy if you don't know if you actually like using it, or if you don't know if it's going to work for you. And I have traveled with this thing like 2 or 3 times. And I don't travel that often, but it is nice. And I will say that usually only the low speed is enough for me with the heat and stuff, And all I do is I just brush my hair in the direction that I want it to go, and it sets it up. you know. And some people say, oh, well, if you use cheaper ones, it's just going to damage your hair, it's just going to do this, it's just going to do that. I don't think so. I mean, the bottom line is it's how you use your tools. It's how you use them, because, you know, if you just keep brushing through your hair and keep it in motion, there's not going to be a whole lot going on. And everything. And also, if you have individual settings with heat settings and speed settings, which my other one has, and I will show you in a minute, you can use a lower heat and a higher speed. You know, the air velocity helping to push out moisture more is honestly more efficient. Um, but if your hair is really thick or very wavy, or you're trying to straighten it out, or it's hard to get in shape, don't be afraid to use higher heat. That's what it's there for. It's there to really like iron stuff out. It's no different than ironing your clothes, you know. So it I will tell you, if higher heat is really that bad for hair, then why do they have it? It's not that bad, really. Especially if you have really, really thick hair that is hard to deal with. I mean, if you heat that up, it actually loosens it and gets it to move in the way you want it to move. So, and obviously don't like burn your hair, but don't be afraid to, heat it up if you're really struggling. So, now, that was just one thing that I wanted to. Cool shot for cool air when you're done. That really helps. Another thing, and this is just a personal preference, but the outlet vent here. This, and I don't know if it really matters, but me personally, there's different types of vent settings. There's like crosshatch patterns and weird patterns, and then there's just these straight louvers. I prefer these straight louvers, and there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, if any dust or anything gets caught in here, it's easier just to kind of brush with the louvers and just brush that out. If it's like circular or X'd or something, it's a little harder to clean out in my experience. So that is just a personal preference. When I am shopping for a blow dryer, I only look for this style grill on the front. It's a weird thing, I know, but it is just my personal preference. The other X or, round or cross patterns on the vents, those are always driving me crazy in a hairdryer. I can never stand that. And not only that, but I feel like this style actually pushes more air out more efficiently. Same thing in the back. If you can actually get something that'll have a lot of airflow. Now, the one thing that I will say is you want to make sure that you keep the backs of these clean, so that way it extends the life. Guys, these are tools that can last you 10, 15 years if you take good care of them, and if you get a good one. So next, I will show you my other one. Now this one is way more advanced. It's not the fanciest, but it's more than you than there has been. Than this other one was. So this one is a Magnifico. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's a brand that I hadn't really heard of, but had really good reviews on Amazon. This one is more of a professional style blow dryer. And this one I use all the time, at home. This one was about $40. And that's the other thing, is you don't need to spend like $100, $200 on a blow dryer. I don't think that's necessary. Especially if you're just using it for your own personal use. But I wouldn't get something cheap and crappy if you're going to use it all the time either. So there's a balance. But about $40 to $60 is about the price range that I would pay for a good one. So this one has speed settings, the heat settings, and the cold shot, and then again it's got the straight louvered vent, just my personal preference. It's got a longer cord, thicker cord on it, so it's built better, and it's got a removable filter to clean out lint and stuff, which obviously you gotta keep that cleaned out. So yes. Now the other thing that the better ones come with is they come with nozzles. Now, I personally recommend a nozzle because it directs air more, especially if you have a stronger motor, which this one has a very powerful motor. It blasts air really hard. I mean, you could just hear the air whoosh when this thing is on. And that's the other thing is, getting ones with stronger motors and better built are going to last longer. I had a cheaper one that I used almost daily and burned out the motor in 4 years. Yeah, so I had to replace it, and so I ended up getting this. I took really good care of it. It's just, it was not made to withstand that kind of use. So, and there's another air nozzle. It's a little wider if you have longer hair or more hair. And then some of them come with a diffuser, which is for longer, curlier hair. Some guys with curlier hairstyles can use this as well. I never do. I have straight hair, and I like my hair straight, so it's just what I prefer. But keeping the nozzle on and really blowing it in different directions Now, this one is a little bit on the heavy side, um, but sorry, I got a message. It is built better. Um, and honestly, I don't use this quite as much as I used to, like blow dryers, because there are days that I can just work with it and I don't need it. But, like, on days that, you know, I'm trying to look more presentable, I will use the blow dryer because it just does a better job of straightening it out and everything. And again, don't be afraid to use heat settings. I just use the warm setting. I don't use the hot, just because I don't need the hot, because my hair does pretty well with the warm. So it all depends on your hair type. It depends on what it is. And generally, like, this one is very powerful. So I almost never have to use the high speed. Like, low is like more than adequate for me, on this one. I mean, it is a beast of a blow dryer. So there's just different tools, different things like that. And back to this one. Now, I will say, even if you don't use a blow dryer for your hair, there are so many other uses for these. Having one, I don't care if it's a cheap one from the drugstore or whatever, just having one on hand for different tasks. If you get frozen pipes, these are wonderful. You just turn it on and you heat up the pipes and try and loosen them. If your car door gets, frozen shut in the winter, you can run a cord out and heat it up and kind of loosen it up. You can defrost windows. You can dry paint. You can do all kinds of things with these things. I mean, it's not just for hair. You can, dry out clothes. If your clothes get a little wet, you can, there's so many uses for them. So don't just think, oh, like if you don't have hair or you don't have a lot of hair, that you have no use for them. There are so many tasks that these can be used for. I mean, heck, you can heat up, something that you need to be more pliable, like heat up rubber, um, to make it more flexible, to make it workable. You can do a lot of things with a blow dryer. So, and I think this one is like only $15 on Amazon. So, yeah. So, there's just a lot of different uses for them. And yeah, so they come in handy. So anyway, that about does it for this video. I just wanted to talk about that. Now, I have done a video on the, styling my hair in the past. I had a different blow dryer than this. That was the one that actually burned out the motor at the time. But, it's been a couple years, and I wanted to kind of talk about some of this stuff because, there's like a lot of misconceptions. I mean, I know people who, even guys who are like, oh, I'm trying to figure out like how I would do this or how I would do that or what I would need. And so I just wanted to give some information out there because yeah, it is a very useful tool even if you have short hair like mine. Like there's still some hair for me to work with. So I can do a lot with a blow dryer. I use them the time. All the time. And not only that, but we're headed into October and we're in fall, headed into winter. You know, if you're getting ready for work and your hair is wet and it's freezing cold outside, you know, hit it with a blow dryer because it kind of sucks to have wet hair when it's freezing outside. So, anyway, those are just some of my tips. You do not have to have a fancy one, you do not have to have an expensive one. Um, but, you know, if you are like very experienced and you um, have done it for a long time and you just want one to last and you use it all the time, then I would get a slightly higher grade one. It doesn't have to be like in the $100 range, but I would say like 50 to $60. Um, just kind of getting something decent um, would be a good investment. So, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.